Have you ever wondered why some people walk into a room, and without saying a word, the atmosphere changes? Why their very presence feels like both a comfort and a mirror, as if they see straight through you? Carl Jung believed that such individuals carry an aura rare, almost otherworldly. Not because of what they show the world, but because of what they carry within. This is not charm. It's not charisma. It is the silent gravity of the empath, a force born from suffering, depth, and an unshakable connection to the unconscious. Today we'll uncover Jung's hidden truth about why empaths radiate an aura so rare, and why it is both a gift and a curse. But before we begin, pause for a moment. Think of the last time you felt completely seen. Not because someone complimented you or paid attention to your words, but because they seemed to sense what you weren't saying. They noticed the hesitation in your voice, the flicker in your eyes, the silence between your words. That is the presence of the empath. It disarms you. It draws out your truth, whether you are ready or not. Jung wrote, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." The empath's aura transforms. Sometimes gently, like a healing balm. Sometimes violently, like an earthquake that shakes loose what you've buried. This is why their energy feels so rare. It is not entertainment, not charm, not performance. It is raw human alchemy. Imagine for a moment a torch in the night. Not a blazing fire demanding attention, but a quiet, steady flame, the kind that guides travelers through the dark. That is the empath's aura, unassuming but unforgettable. And yet, what gives this aura its power is not light alone, but shadow. Empaths are forged in contradiction. They are sensitive yet strong, compassionate yet fierce, gentle yet unyielding. They feel the weight of the world and somehow they carry it. Jung believed that such people are rare not because they were born different, but because they dared to face what most people avoid: the darkness within. This journey will reveal why the empath's aura is so magnetic, why it isolates them as much as it connects them, and how this hidden truth is not only about them, but about all of us. Because to understand the empath is to understand what it means to be deeply, terrifyingly human. The depth behind the eyes. They say the eyes are the windows to the soul. But for the empath, they are more than that. They are thresholds into a depth most people never touch. Look closely, and you will notice it. A certain gravity, a stillness, a quiet intensity that makes you hesitate. You may not be able to name it, but you feel it. It is as though behind those eyes lies an ocean, vast, uncharted, and filled with both light and shadow. Carl Jung often spoke of the unconscious, that deep reservoir of experiences, archetypes, and emotions that shapes who we are. Most people skim its surface. They live in the daylight world of roles, masks, and appearances. But the empath does not have this luxury. Their sensitivity pulls them into deeper waters. From an early age, they feel what others cannot, sense what others ignore, and carry what others repress. This is why their eyes look different. They do not simply see, they perceive. They look into you, not at you. And that gaze, steady, unflinching, can feel like a kind of recognition. The wounded healer's eyes. Jung gave us the archetype of the wounded healer, the one who becomes capable of healing others only because they have endured wounds themselves. This archetype explains much of the empath's depth. An empath's eyes often carry sorrow, even in moments of joy. Not because they are broken, but because they have carried more than their share of burdens. They have witnessed human cruelty, betrayal, loneliness, sometimes firsthand, sometimes absorbed from those around them. And yet, within that sorrow is strength. Their eyes say, "I know pain, but I also know it can be survived." This is why so many people find comfort in their presence. The empath doesn't need to offer solutions. Their very existence becomes proof that endurance, resilience, and healing are possible. Life lesson: your struggles are not just scars, they are testimonies. The hardships you've endured are the very things that give you the ability to meet others with compassion. Don't hide the depth behind your own eyes, it is your greatest offering. Why some find it unsettling. Not everyone is comfortable under the gaze of an empath. For some, it feels unsettling. Why? Because the empath's eyes reflect back truths we are not always ready to face. Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." The empath's gift is precisely this. They make the unconscious visible. They sense what is hidden, and when they look at you, it feels as if your mask has been stripped away. The nervous laugh, the carefully chosen words, the hardened posture, none of it hides what they see. For those who fear their own truth, this can feel threatening. And so empaths are often misunderstood, avoided, or even resented. Not because they have done anything wrong, but because their presence calls people back to themselves. Life lesson: if someone makes you feel seen in ways that scare you, pause before pulling away. Ask yourself, what are they reflecting that I've been avoiding? Often, the discomfort is not about them. It's about your own unacknowledged truth. The ocean within. The eyes of an empath are like oceans, calm on the surface but unfathomably deep below. And like the ocean, their depth can be both beautiful and dangerous. On one hand, it allows them to connect profoundly with others. They can sit with someone's grief, absorb their joy, feel their fear, sometimes more vividly than the person themselves. This makes them extraordinary listeners, healers, friends. But on the other hand, this same depth can drown them. Too much absorption, too much openness, and the empath begins to lose themselves. They become weighed down, tired, even resentful. Their eyes, once radiant, may grow heavy. This is the double-edged sword of the empath's aura. Their gift is their curse. Their depth is their strength, but also their vulnerability. Motivational advice: if you are an empath, protect your depth. The ocean within you is not meant to swallow every storm around you. Learn to anchor yourself, to return to shore, to recharge in solitude. Otherwise, your gift will consume you. The light in the darkness. Jung believed that to truly know oneself, one must confront the shadow, the hidden, darker parts of the psyche. Most avoid this confrontation, but empaths cannot. Their eyes look different because they have seen both their own shadow and the shadow of others. And yet, they are not destroyed by it. Instead, they integrate it. They allow the darkness to exist without denying the light. This is what makes their gaze so unique. It carries both pain and peace, both suffering and wisdom. When you look into their eyes, you feel as though you are being told, yes, life is hard. Yes, there is darkness. But yes, there is also light, and it is worth it. This is not blind optimism. It is earned hope, and earned hope is far more powerful than naive positivity. Life lesson: do not run from your own shadow. Look into it, learn from it. As Jung wrote, knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darkness of other people. When you face your inner darkness, your eyes too will carry that rare light, the light of truth. The empath's presence as a teacher. Have you ever met someone whose presence stays with you long after the encounter? You may not even remember what they said. What you remember is how they looked at you, how you felt seen, acknowledged, understood. That is the legacy of the empath's eyes. They are teachers, though they may never call themselves that. They teach us not through lectures, but through presence. They remind us of our humanity. They call us back to authenticity. And sometimes, just sometimes, one look from them can change the direction of a life. Motivational advice: be conscious of your presence. Your words matter, but your presence speaks louder. When you meet others, carry yourself in a way that leaves them better than before, even if it's just through the way you look at them. A rare aura, a silent gravity. Ultimately, the depth behind the empath's eyes is a reflection of their journey. They have walked through shadow, endured suffering, absorbed the emotions of others, and yet chosen not to close off. Instead, they remain open. This is what makes them rare. This is what makes their aura unforgettable. Their eyes say, "I have seen the worst and I am still here. I have felt the weight of despair, and yet I choose compassion. I know the darkness, and I still choose the light." And in a world obsessed with surfaces, with appearances, with shallow distractions, this depth is revolutionary. Closing reflection for this segment. So the next time you meet someone whose eyes seem to hold more than words can express, pause. Look again. You may be standing before an empath. You may be looking into the living proof of Jung's great truth, that wholeness comes not from avoiding pain, but from integrating it. And perhaps, just perhaps, you will see a reflection of your own hidden depths staring back at you. The silent weight of suffering. Carl Jung once wrote, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." He understood something most people spend their lives denying, that suffering is not an accident of existence. It is the very crucible in which the soul is formed. And empaths, they know this truth intimately. Unlike others who can shield themselves from the emotions of the world, the empath absorbs them. It is not a choice, nor a weakness. It is simply the way their psyche is tuned, like an antenna tuned not to one frequency, but to all of them, all at once. Walk into a crowded room, and they don't just hear the laughter, the voices, the surface noise. They feel the tension in the air. They sense the grief hidden in the quiet one's silence. They catch the jealousy behind a smile, the anger buried in politeness. Where others skate along the surface, the empath sinks to the depth. This constant absorption is why their presence carries weight, a heaviness you can feel, even if you don't know why. Jung called this participation mystique, the unconscious merging of self with others. Most people remain locked in their egos, their boundaries intact. But empaths bleed into the emotions of those around them. They dissolve into the psychic atmosphere. This is why they often feel drained. It is also why they feel different. And here lies the paradox. The very suffering that isolates them is also what makes them magnetic. People are drawn to them, not because they are always joyful or radiant, but because they carry an invisible gravity. When you stand before an empath, you feel less alone. You feel your unspoken burdens are somehow understood, even without explanation. They do not need to fix you. Their presence alone eases the weight. But Jung warned of this danger. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. The empath is transformed every time. Each encounter leaves an imprint, another scar, another layer to the silent suffering they bear. Consider the archetype of Atlas, the titan condemned to carry the heavens upon his shoulders. This is the empath's life, carrying invisible worlds no one else notices. People marvel at their strength, their compassion, their aura, but rarely do they see the toll it takes. This is why empaths often retreat into solitude, not because they dislike people, but because they cannot carry the world endlessly without rest. Silence becomes their medicine. Stillness becomes their survival. Jung once confessed, "Loneliness does not come from having no people around you, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you." The empath lives in this loneliness, surrounded by people, yet set apart by what they feel, by what they see but cannot explain. Imagine trying to describe color to the blind or music to the deaf. That is what the empath faces daily, perceiving layers of reality others cannot grasp. This is why their aura feels heavy. It carries unspeakable truth. truths that others unconsciously sense, even if they cannot name them. And yet, it is precisely this suffering that refines them. The weight they carry makes their presence profound. Like coal under pressure becomes diamond, the empath's pain becomes the very source of their rare aura. Jung said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." Empaths embody this. They do not escape the darkness. They carry it consciously, silently, every day. And this silent burden is what makes them luminous. The aura as a mirror. Carl Jung taught us a truth that is as unsettling as it is liberating. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. What he meant is this: much of what we see in others is not really about them at all. It is a reflection of what lies hidden within us, the desires we suppress, the fears we deny, the wounds we bury. And this is why the empath's aura can be so disturbing to others. When you stand before an empath, you feel something shift. It isn't that they are trying to read you. It is that their very presence pulls your unconscious closer to the surface. They don't just see you. They see through you. Their aura functions like a mirror. And in that mirror, you are forced to confront pieces of yourself you may have spent years avoiding. This is why some people feel inexplicably safe with empaths, while others feel inexplicably threatened. Jung called this the process of projection. We project our shadow, the hidden, disowned parts of ourselves, onto others. And when someone's presence reflects that shadow back at us, it unsettles us deeply. The empath becomes a catalyst in this process. They don't have to speak. They don't have to act. Simply being in their presence stirs something in you, something raw, unfiltered, uncomfortably true. Consider this. You meet someone with a calm, steady energy. They don't judge, they don't intrude. Yet after spending time with them, you feel restless, uneasy. Why? Because their presence revealed something you were hiding from yourself. Your insecurities, your envy, your unacknowledged pain. You blame them for making you uncomfortable, but really, it is your own reflection staring back at you. This is the empath's silent gift and curse. They awaken the unconscious in others, simply by existing. Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." The empath disrupts this cycle. Their aura drags fragments of the unconscious into the light, offering others a chance, painful, yes, but transformative, to see themselves clearly. But here is the danger. Not everyone is ready for that. Some will feel grateful, even healed. Others will resist, project hostility, even lash out. For to face the mirror of the empath is to face yourself. And many would rather break the mirror than confront the reflection. Think of the archetype of the oracle in mythology, the figure whose mere words reveal truths too heavy to bear. The empath's aura functions in much the same way. They do not always want to show people their hidden wounds, but their presence has the power to uncover them nonetheless. And so they often find themselves at the center of extremes, adored by some, resented by others, misunderstood by most. The empath's aura, then, is not just a personal quality. It is a mirror of humanity itself. It shows us what we would rather not see. It reminds us of the shadows we bury, the truths we conceal, the parts of ourselves waiting to be integrated. This is why Jung believed that encountering such depth in another person is never neutral. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. To meet an empath is to be transformed, whether you welcome it or not. The rare aura of the empath. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. Carl Jung. There is something about a true empath that words can't quite capture. It's not charisma, not beauty, not charm. It is an aura, subtle yet unmistakable, that makes people stop, breathe, and sense that they are in the presence of someone who has seen more than most. This aura doesn't come from an easy life. It comes from nights spent wrestling with invisible battles, from carrying pain that was never theirs to begin with, and from daring to sit with darkness until it revealed its secret. Carl Jung often spoke of the wounded healer, the archetype who becomes capable of healing others because they have been wounded themselves. The empath embodies this. They shine because they have bled. Their presence feels rare because it is forged in fire, not comfort. Balance scale life lesson. The empath teaches us this: your suffering does not diminish you, it refines you. The cracks you carry are not weaknesses, they are entry points for light. If you've felt too sensitive, remember, what makes you different may be what makes you powerful. Jung and the shadow. Most people spend their lives avoiding their shadow, the anger, fear, and grief buried beneath their mask. But the empath has little choice. From childhood, they feel it all. The tension in a parent's silence, the suppressed rage in a teacher's voice, the loneliness hidden in a friend's smile. This early initiation makes the empath different. While the world is content with surfaces, the empath sees beneath. Jung said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." This is the secret of their aura. They have not run from darkness, they have befriended it. And because of this, they radiate a light that is not naive, but knowing. Seedling motivational advice. Don't fear your shadow. Don't silence your pain. If you have the courage to face it, to sit with the parts of yourself you'd rather hide, you will discover not weakness, but strength. You will discover the same light that the empath carries. The mirror effect. Stand before a true empath, and you may feel strangely exposed. Not because they judge you, but because they see you. Their aura is like a mirror. It reflects your unspoken truths back at you. Some find this healing, others unsettling. This is why empaths are often misunderstood. Their presence strips away pretense. And in a world built on masks that can feel dangerous, yet Jung reminds us, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. The empath's aura is a living example of this truth. Glowing star life lesson. Let people misunderstand you. Do not dim your sensitivity to fit in. The rare aura you carry is not meant for everyone. It is meant for those ready to awaken to their own depth. Alchemy of the soul. Jung compared inner growth to alchemy, the ancient art of turning lead into gold. The empath lives this process daily. They take in the heaviness of others, the grief, the unspoken words, the despair, and, through compassion, turn it into understanding. This is why their aura feels like a sanctuary. It is gold, but not the kind that glitters. It is the gold of the soul, hard-won, enduring, pure. Fire motivational advice. When life gives you lead, don't throw it away. Work with it. Your hardships are not obstacles to your growth. They are raw material for transformation. The rare aura defines. So what is this aura really? It is the silence that feels safe. It is the gaze that tells you you've been understood without speaking. It is the presence that makes you braver, softer, and more real. And yet, this aura comes at a cost. To carry it, the empath must endure loneliness, misunderstanding, and the constant temptation to shut down their sensitivity. But those who embrace it discover something most people never touch: the power to heal not just themselves, but everyone they meet. Jung once wrote, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." That is the rare aura of the empath. You leave them changed, whether you realize it or not. Closing reflections. Carl Jung believed that within each of us lies a hidden story, a story the world may never see, but one that shapes the very fabric of who we are. For the empath, this story is written in shadows and silence. It is carved into the soul through pain, through survival, through the unbearable gift of feeling too much. So when you encounter someone whose presence unsettles you, whose gaze feels ancient, whose silence speaks louder than words, pause. Do not dismiss it. Do not reduce it to charm or softness, or just being sensitive. You are meeting a soul who has carried the weight of 1,000 unspoken sorrows. A soul who has walked through fire and emerged, not untouched, but transformed. And that transformation radiates in ways words cannot capture. Jung once wrote, "Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darkness of other people." This is why the empath's aura feels so rare. They have faced their own darkness, not once but countless times. And so, standing before yours, they do not turn away. They are a mirror, a witness, a reminder that even in suffering, even in shadow, something luminous can be born. But this aura is not without cost. It isolates them, it drains them, it marks them as different. And yet, it is also what makes them essential to the world. Because in times of chaos, when people hide behind masks, when shadows grow heavy and unspoken, it is the empaths who carry the torch. Not a torch of blinding light, but of quiet truth. So if you are one of them, hear this. Your aura is not a curse. It is not a weakness. It is the rarest of gifts, a living proof that the human soul can descend into darkness and return, not broken, but whole. The world may not always understand you. It may resist you, project onto you, even fear you. But never forget, the aura you carry is exactly what this world needs. And if you are not one of them, but have been fortunate enough to meet such a soul, cherish them. For they are not common. They are rare. They are reminders that the human spirit, though fragile, is also unbreakable. This was Carl Jung's hidden truth. That the empath's aura is not only their story, it is our story. A story of shadow and light, suffering and rebirth, silence and power. The story of the human soul itself.